Welcome to week 12. This week we're going to be looking at embedding library services and librarians into campus student success initiatives, into student affairs units, etc. I know throughout the term I've been talking about how getting embedded in the curriculum is really the gold standard. It's the best way to really build student information literacy. When students learn information literacy skills in a course that they can immediately apply to a research assignment that they have, it's much more likely to lead to lasting learning than if you give a lecture on information literacy skills that they then have no immediate way to practice it. That's been shown in the research. But at the same time, there's tremendous value to putting a human face on the library, providing support outside of the classroom, especially on an individual level, can actually be amazingly valuable for students. There are many places in the curriculum and in the co-curriculum throughout the university where we can make a difference. And research on retention has shown that having visible access to support services and also using support services can increase student retention. So students who get help from a librarian, who utilize services like advising, the Writing Center, tend to be more likely to be retained. This isn't surprising when research has also shown that students are more likely to seek help who have a greater sense of self-efficacy. So, by that notion, students who have higher self-efficacy are more likely to be retained. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation. But they have shown students who use support services are more likely to be retained. So the more visible and useful we are to students, the better for retention. So librarians can get involved in campus student success initiatives in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of universities that have initiatives that kind of happen above the level of the individual department. For example, and I've talked about this before, at my institution, I'm part of a group that's looking at the first year experience, looking beyond what goes on in a specific class or a specific department or even within the curriculum to look at what the student experience is like with advising, also with residence life, with financial affairs, all the different things that impact a student, because a student's experience in the university is much more than just what happens in the classroom. So being involved in this, it's a great way to get a sense of what's working at the university and what isn't working, and also in what ways the library can be involved in helping to increase student success. So I've learned a ton from the information gathering that we've done, and I've also seen places where maybe the library could actually get involved to improve student success. The key to being involved in these initiatives is being involved in university level committees. And the only way that happens is if the library is seen as a partner in student success, or if librarians are faculty. At my current institution, we are tenure track faculty, so we are not only allowed to, but are also expected to serve on faculty senate level committees. At other institutions, librarians may not be faculty, but they're thought of as partners, so they are asked to be involved in committees, or they ask to be involved. But we have to be on these committees to be part of the conversation. So you're going to be reading a lot of articles this week about student affairs. And there's a really interesting one. I cannot remember her full name, but her first name is Dallas, that talks about how student affairs is structured, their history. They're really focused on the whole student, not just student as learner, on the entire student experience, their emotional experience, their recreational experience, so the big picture. And they often have access to students at really critical times in their college career, like when they're choosing their major, when they are going through orientation. Um, so often the things that they can tell students about student services can really influence whether students utilize those services or not. So what they tell students about the library can often really influence whether or not students utilize the library. And so these are people we want to be involved with. They are orientation leaders, student advisors, the learning or tutoring center, writing centers, career services, the people who run student housing and res life. They are often the people who see students in crisis most often. Personnel who specialize in support to different groups like women, veterans, students of color, etc. We have a lot of our student affairs unit is called EMSA, and a lot of the personnel in that teach these college success courses that aren't in a certain subject area, but they're focused on helping students be successful in college. And people from the Women's Resource Center are teach the college success classes for returning women students, which is a really is a population that I'm particularly interested in because I'm doing research on them, but also because they're a group that often come in and are overwhelmed by research and by what they are expected to do. So it's a great group to work with. And because of my outreach to the Women's Resource Center, I've gotten involved in the student success classes that they offer. So there are lots of ways, in addition to getting involved in classes, that where we can provide support through student services. We can get involved in orientations, either providing a brief spiel or even offering specific activities throughout orientation. Game-based learning is a great tool for making orientations exciting and interesting and making the learning really sticky. Like I said, we could get involved in instruction. We could, if they're teaching classes, we could be involved in it. We could co-teach things. For example, I did an orientation activity along with our learning center, which is co-located in the library. We can offer instruction in dorms. A lot of residence life people offer different lecture series, activities, etc. We can get involved in that. We can provide research support. That goes back to the week that we looked at providing support where our users are, so we can go where our users are. We could be part of a team that supports at-risk students. A lot of institutions have groups like that with different, where people from different aspects of student support are part of a team that works with at-risk students to sort of provide wraparound services. That's a great place for the library to be involved with students who may have the least likelihood of being retained so that we can help. We could have combined service desks where we either work, maybe we go to the writing center or the writing center people come to us. We could have combined desks. We can do a train the trainer approach, which is something I did with our learning center where I trained the staff on common library questions they may get, what's available to students, when to refer to us, etc. So that's, working with writing center tutors, learning center tutors, other people on campus who work with students who may need research support, helping them help students or helping them know when and where to refer is really valuable. And also even just things as simple as cross-promoting each other's services. I created a LibGuides box with information about the Learning Center to promote what they have to offer, but also we can give them flyers and other information to promote our services. When I was doing a survey of returning students, I asked the Women's Resource Center to promote that through their Facebook page and their newsletter. So there's lots of different ways that we could be providing support. Things to consider. Obviously, the first one is to consider your goals in the partnership. What do you want to get out of it? What do you hope to see happen? But also partnerships can sometimes be very selfish. We librarians tend to think about what our needs are, but we should also be thinking about how we can help the people in those units, not just how they can help promote the library. So we need to think also about what their goals might be and how we can serve them. And by doing that, we can create much richer partnerships where they might be more willing to go the distance for us because we did for them. Um, think about what learning outcomes you want to have from this. And it might not be learning outcomes. The outcomes might be about more about, you know, them associating the library with friendly, helpful service. It may not necessarily be students will be able to evaluate resources at the end of this. It may just be things that are a little softer and more about sort of the affect of learning. Um, I've started offering things that we call warmth sessions, where we focus less on information literacy and more on library awareness. And there are some cases where teaching information literacy makes no sense because there isn't really an assignment attached. But we can, in those cases, provide more library awareness focused things that help students get to know the library and associate the library with a friendly face. Because often the best thing you can get out of non-course integrated sessions is for them to feel comfortable going to the library or to feel comfortable asking for help. And to assess, it's important that we assess the value of these things because we are being pulled in so many different directions and we can't do everything. We need to be able to think about whether this is worth the time that we're spending. Did what we did lead to more people using the library? That's often really difficult to figure out. Did this improve retention? That may be easier to figure out if you're part of a group that's doing sort of wraparound services for at-risk students. It can be very difficult to show that one specific thing you did led to X, it led to these benefits. But it is important that we really assess, is this worth our time when we could be doing something else because we honestly cannot be doing everything. So what do you think? Should we be getting more involved with student success initiatives or student affairs? And how do we balance that with the need to be more involved in the curriculum? These are important questions to look at.